like most people, if we don't enjoy it, we're not very good at it. It needs to be something I enjoy. Just making money is never going to get you to the point.
Have you ever done celibacy to push your brand further?
That's a whole topic in itself. Power of semen retention for the male. It should be taught in schools. It's like, well, we want to have impact. Mushrooms can be very important for our evolution. They can be very important for our health. They can be very important for the environment. They tick all those boxes. You look around and you go, a lot of men are just not living to their full potential. They're not full. Like, this is one insane little ride that we're on. It's like, do something that just like actually puts a dent on the planet in a positive way. Like, if you can do that, for me, that's the top tier. Getting listed on the stock exchange. If it means more impact, yes. But if it means it's a quick buck and capital teams and the markets are trying to sort of, do something such as what you're saying with SPAC. It's just a fake world where it's not a real business with a real community.
Really question every narrative that you've been taught. Ask yourselves if it actually truly fulfills what your true meaning is and what you're here for.
So that together we have clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Quick one before we jump into this podcast. Do me a solid favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. If you're looking to remove images, videos, search results, or fake accounts online, go to contentremoval.com. But don't take my word for it. Here's Hormozy.
Frank, you're a fucking legend. I just saw this. Layla also thinks you're a legend, which in my mind means you're... which means you're a double legend in my mind. If you get my wife to think you're a legend, then you're extra cool in my mind. Dude, thank you so much, genuinely. That was such a pain.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. Today, guys, we have a legend that I've been trying to book for 16 months. I swear down, I've been relentless in this guy's DMs. We have an absolute wizard that's gone all the way from being a physio at Wolves Football Club in the Premier League in the EPL to setting up and founding 7 years ago a company in the mushroom space that's grown 400% year on year in the last 2 years alone. Welcome, Julian Mitchell, to your house, your dwelling, your sanctuary. I'm looking out the window here thinking, I don't know if we've got time for a podcast. I think we should go out there and play Jurassic Park.
We made it, Frankie. I appreciate your persistence, and it wasn't that I wanted to get on because I've been listening to your podcasts and they're amazing.
You actually listen? Are you just being nice?
No, as I was just talking about before, a few good jokes in there, a few good lads in there.
Yeah.
Dropping some wisdom. But, it's easy out here just to sort of get lost in nature a little bit. But it's also fun. You just find peace here and stillness. Being, I guess, in city environments, actually you're a lot more productive out here, less distractions.
100%.
Not that we're out in the wilderness. We're only, 15, 20 minutes out of Byron, but...
It's a phenomenal part of the world.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal part of the world, this.
Yeah.
I mean, to have this view, and I'll try and film a bit of B-roll so you guys on YouTube can see the views, but it's just unbelievable. It literally is like looking at Jurassic Park, and you just expect some T-Rex to come out the garden. It's mad, mate. But this is a long... I want to take it back to you going to England and obviously working in the EPL and obviously as a physio, and how did that all come about, you transitioning out of Australia, going to the UK and going into all that? Yeah,
it was, I guess, every childhood dream in Australia for a young boy is like, play sport for an elite team in whatever sport that is, football, soccer, Aussie rules, cricket, whatever it is. And so I always had that goal, and I guess early on realising, probably not going to make the cut there in that space, and how do I stay within that environment, because I love that competition and just the energy that comes with that sort of elite environment. And so, I was lucky enough during physio, I worked at an A-League team, Perth Glory, helping out there, and for my 21st, I just sort of, instead of having a party, I just said to the parents, I just want to go to England, I want to door knock some clubs, do some volunteer work. And I just door knocked from afar, sending emails, and went to Bolton, Sunderland, Wolves. So 3 random cities in the UK that, it's just sort of trekking to from London on buses and things, and spent a week at each. And then 2-3 years on from that, I really made the point of when I was there to sort of, I guess, add value and show that I'm keen and that I've got some skills in a way. And I got a call up, a couple of weeks before I was finishing my last exam saying, we've got a gig at the Wolves here, do you want to interview? And that was amazing and very grateful. We had such a great team at the Wolves there, and Steve Kemp is now head of medical at the England football team, so his next path after Wolves was to go there, and John Iger who was head of sports science, is now at the head of England football team as well, doing the stuff there. So great brains, great environment, everything you could dream of. I remember coming and back to my phone after a game, and some of the lads saw it on Sky News from Australia, on Sky Sport, and it's just like
Yeah.
made it moment you would think was there. So that was very lucky, very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit of a difference though. I can't imagine going from Perth glory, because obviously Perth's a very beautiful place, you know. It's you got a good lifestyle over there. And then you talk to me about your first day you arrive in Wolverhampton. I mean, come on, it's got to be a bit of a come down, isn't it?
I was still buzzing from the job and the role, you know.
Yeah.
But the town and the West Midlands, coming from like, you know, always being close to the beach, having sunny weather, to the winter in the UK where it's like dark by 4 or 3 and it's dark at 8 a.m. and that wears you down. That's tough footy. That's tough.
There's definitely something to be said for that winter in the UK and winters in Europe in general, where the days go, you know, where you lose the light so early and it doesn't come out till late. You know, sometimes it can be grey in the morning till 9, 10 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. And then you're going dark at 4 p.m, 3 p.m, 3:30, 4 p.m. No wonder people are struggling with their mental health and struggling with other stuff, because they're not getting enough sunlight.
It's huge. And I think that explains the humour and the banter in the UK. You need that to keep going.
You have to
keep going, you got to be laughing. You know, otherwise you're just going to fall into a spiral.
Well, it's England for 3 months a year. If the sun's out for 3 months a year, when it is out, it's honestly the countryside and just everything around it and the parties and the festivals. It's one of the best places in the world.
Beautiful, yeah. It
is, and Europe itself is too. But like you say, for those other 6 months, you're struggling.
I remember it being June over there, the off season, and you know, holidays, and 16 degrees or something, like 15 degrees and overcast. I'm just like, this is crazy. Go back to Perth, 22 and blue skies, and that's middle of winter in Perth type thing. So that's sort of, I guess that was part of it. The weather was like, well, can I see myself here for 10 years building out my craft as a, you know, because the goal to be head of medical for an EPL team, or, you know, had some good mentors in Formula One. And so that was sort of the vision, but I was like, the lifestyle wasn't matching up.
So you were thinking about going into Formula One as well?
Yeah, I spent some time with Stuart Smith and Adam looked after Lewis Hamilton, and Stuart looked after Daniel Ricciardo as performance coaches. So I spent a little bit of time with them, chatting with them, and seeing how their lives are. And phenomenal situation, very interesting. But for me, it didn't match up long term, lifestyle wise. But
what it allowed you to do, and you probably realise looking back now, is it allowed you to build phenomenal relationships with people, so that you could obviously, like in the future, if you needed to contact these people, you've got the relationship to be able to do it if you want to do business in the future, right?
And just see how high performers behave. Yeah. How Adam goes about his day, how Stuart goes about his day, how Steve goes about his day at Wolves, and how all the athletes go about their day. That's exactly what business is. Like, business is that, but a marathon.
Yeah,
you know.
So, what were some of the key things that you picked up that were the standout things that high performance people were all implementing in their lives?
I think it's the belief system and the knowing within them. You know, to be in the Premier League, you're the 1% of the 1%. You know, to the mental attitude you have to have is like, I'm gonna win. This is my spot. You know, this is. You know, it's just like so certain and so strong, and of course there's a lot of ego that comes with that, but you need that ego actually. You know, without that ego, you're not going to have that self-belief.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of them come from disrupted family environments as well. So they had a point to prove, whether it was because they bummed out of school, they weren't interested in school, whether their family was broken apart, whether they got 6-7 brothers and sisters that they wanted to try and help live a good life. Like, they were coming, that level of motivation was almost like I have to succeed, you know, to have a better life. Otherwise it's back to this situation. So there was no plan B for a lot of them.
Yeah.
The belief system is so strong.
But is it
two key parts?
Is it kind of one dimensional though? Because on one side of it, I imagine the players and these high performers are like their key drivers to get to this position, but when they're there and they're getting paid all that money and they're buying all this, they start to acquire stuff. A lot of these players start to acquire stuff, a lot of these high performers, but they find there's no happiness in the stuff, so they become depressed. I mean, we were talking about, cars before the podcast and certain things, because me and you, like, we just roll around in just normal cars, whereas a lot of people that have any form of success, in quotation marks, they go and buy the fucking G-Wagon and they try and make this happen. Did you see that for Premier Football?
I mean, the car park was a spectacle. You know, you got, you know, young lads, early 20s, Bentleys with camo jobs and all sorts of, you know, types of styles of cars. And as a young lad, you look at it, you go, oh, that's, you know, that's sort of what it's all about in a way. But then you're with these guys, and you know, because I was young as well, as, you know, go party with them and spend time with them and get to know them and stuff, and it, you know, that it just doesn't match up. As we know, it's sort of as cliche as it is, and we hear it a million times, but it literally doesn't match up to happiness on any level, you know, and to meaning on any level. And it's really dangerous for them, actually. You know, it's really dangerous because you get so much money and attention early that it causes its own problems.
Yeah, obviously, you then came back to Australia, and what kind of made you pursue getting into the mushroom space and being around that environment? What kind of drew you to that?
The journey was, okay, go, you know, live your dream, you know, in a high performance sport, and, like, you know, love that environment to an extent, but I didn't see my lifestyle matching up. And then so come back to Australia in a bit of like a quarter life crisis, if you like shit, you know, that's what I wanted to do my whole life, and now what do I want to do? Worked as a health consultant for a sort of Fortune 500 company in that sort of corporate space, and, you know, very early saw that, you know, I'm not going to be updating my resume going forward. Like, my next thing is going to be, you know, my own thing, because that's a box as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just looking around and understanding that, like most people, if we don't enjoy it, we're not very good at it, you know. So it needs to be something I enjoy. You know, just making money is never going to get you to the point, I think. I mean, I'm sure success stories of people going down that path, but I'm like, I don't want to waste my time making money but do something I don't like. Okay, that's part of the criteria. Part of the criteria is what's coming up in the future. At that time, CBD was kicking off, you know, sort of fake meat burgers and that, you know,
fake meat burgers.
You know, those things were kicking off as well, and it's like, you know, I had my own opinions on that, you know, that this just wasn't natural and healthy, and it was too synthetic. And so I was like, what's natural, what's healthy, what's good for the planet, what do I genuinely want everyone on the planet to be consuming that I think is good based on the science and the literature, you know, having a physio degree, able to read literature articles from universities and research, and show that, like, the research is just so profound for these mushrooms, and yet 95% of the mushrooms at the moment are coming from Asian countries, and it's like, we should be growing this in Australia. We should be growing it, you know, locally for many reasons: trust, potency, bioavailability, quality, carbon food miles, and sustainability. So it's just like ticking all the things. It's like, and no one was in this space 7 years ago, really. There was a few people tinkering around, but no one, like,
no one had committed
owning
to it.
in that space. And so I thought, yeah, Ryan and I at the time, initial co-founders, thought, yeah, let's kick off into this area. And so we left our corporate jobs and went all in on that.
When you go all in on something that's obviously quite new, a new market, an untapped field in Australia at the time, and obviously you're worldwide now and massive in America and stuff like that, but when you go into something like that, how do you kind of, you fund it? The development of something new like that must cost thousands and thousands of dollars. How are you bankrolling all that kind of stuff in the early days?
I mean, it was bootstrapping, for sure, bootstrapping early, because we had our corporate jobs. We, you know, had good income there that we were sort of funneling in before we left, and then when we left, we had good savings there as well. And then, you know, early investment, early revenue as well, just cash flow. You know, cash flow very early. Before we were selling extracts. We were selling fresh mushrooms to restaurants, to all the high-end restaurants in Perth and WA. So that was, you know, cash flow, and then investment, and then, you know, the e-commerce boom as well obviously made, you know, early on helped with cash flow, because you could be selling stuff online and scaling that.
So was that like equivalent then to when you're selling mushrooms? Was that the equivalent to like this, like, micro farming that they talk about?
In a way, yeah. No, I mean, that was the initial story for us, was, you know, mushrooms from coffee waste to, you know, to help feed the planet, and no pesticides, no, you know, landfill, no land clearing of deforestation, all of those things it was ticking. And so we were growing fresh mushrooms, pick, harvest, take to high-end restaurants, sell a few hundred kilos a week. That got us going because they had a good price point. And then from there, transitioning in, build out the team, you know, the mentors, chairman, business partners, you know, chief scientist from Paris came over, who just reached out to us, and so that's where we were able to really level up in terms of the biotechnology, becoming a biotechnology company. So we're not a marketing company that buys an ingredient from a foreign country and then repackages it and then markets it out. We grow it ourselves, we extract it ourselves, we have the scientists, we've got 8 full-time scientists, we've lodged patents on what we do. So this is important.
You've patented the mushroom technology, like
how we extract it and what we do. That's
really,
yeah. And again, going back to business models and thinking about that, at the time I was reading the 0 to 1
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, and I just think the foundations there are very strong. And looking at the CBD market, at the time, and just watching every Tom, Dick, and Harry become a CBD brand, it's sort of like seeing that would happen in mushrooms. You've got to build that moat of defensibility, and that defensibility is the patents to an extent, but more the science and the intellectual property and the ability that we do it all ourselves, so we have ultimate control over the quality of the product.
I've had to learn this a few times in business the hard way, where I've had providers of certain things in my business, and then the providers let you down. Same as suppliers can let you down as well. So you've brought all your mushroom production onshore now. Is it all here?
Yeah, it's all in Australia. I mean, we've got operations in Australia, US, and we've opened a facility in India for the Indian market.
So have you just launched into the Indian market recently?
Yeah, very recent.
And that's going to be massive, isn't it?
I mean, it's the new China, in the sense of middle class boom.
And what in terms of, obviously we're not going to talk numbers on here, but like in terms of percentages, how fast do you think you'll grow it equivalent to what you've done in like the US and Australia?
I think it's somewhat out of our control because of the macro. You were just updating me today on UK and the
yeah.
pound, and it's like such uncertain times.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it's building a business that's just resilient. It's not a hit and quit, raise capital, and then just balloon and acquire customers at all costs. It's not that, it's not that for us in this moment. It's, making sure we're building something that's solid, that has a very strong community and very strong foundations and is very defensible and is going to be around for a long period of time, because that Silicon Valley model, if you like, of, just pumping up companies with capital money, it's not our game plan. It's not what we're trying to do. It's not how we want the business.
It's not sustainable, is it?
It's a fake business in a way, because it's default dead. If you don't raise that next amount of money, you're dead. So there's a lot of businesses that are actually not. It's just a different type of business. It's not a real business. The real business is the hairdresser down the road that's making cash and making profit each week. Uber never makes a profit, but that's an interesting concept, but it's not from a lifestyle point of view. I don't think for me, it's not of interest to build a business like that. I don't want to live that lifestyle.
Well, a lot of what's going on in America at the moment is they get these mid-tier level businesses. They roll them up into like a SPACs type environment where there's this this company that's listed on the stock exchange and just holds all these brands that aren't really meant to be held on the stock exchange, but they roll them all up together and then they fire them out and they sell them off to the retail investors.
Yeah,
and it's that they don't really make money. It's just all like hogwash.
It's sort of a pump and dump type thing, and it's like, and it's just not of interest, I guess. It's like if I'm getting into any business, and this has been a great journey, this first 7 years of my first business in a way, to learn everything that I've learned and to learn the traps and the tricks of the game and how the game works. And there's this enormous elaborate labyrinth of how capital markets work, and it's like, and unfortunately I've seen friends, fall to that, and I've seen other friends escape that, so it's like, and really what it does is, for us, it's like, well, we want to have impact, we want to, and we genuinely believe, the whole team, that, mushrooms can be very important for our evolution, they can be very important for our health, they can be very important for the environment, they tick all those boxes. And so, getting listed on the stock exchange, if it means more impact, yes. But if it means it's a quick buck, and the capital teams and the markets are trying to sort of do something such as what you're saying with SPACs, which have copped an absolute hiding lately. There was a couple of wins with them early on. Yeah, a couple of guys won, and then everyone went onto the SPAC model. And it's just a fake world where it's not a real business with a real community that's turning over real money and has real customers that love the product.
Well, they'll just get a load of mushroom brands, wrap you all under the token called mush, and then like throw it on the stock exchange,
and it will turn to mush within 6 months.
Yeah, because like you might be the only profitable genuinely profitable brand within the whole umbrella of all the companies, and then that's why they all fall down.
Yeah, and I think this is also, especially, because 7 years ago, the word entrepreneur wasn't really a thing as much as it is now, and every year it's got more momentum to be an entrepreneur and to da-da-da. It's become this fashionable thing. Like previously what was fashionable in the 80s or something was being a boxer, and, that was the hypey thing to do. There's these hypey things, and entrepreneurs are very hypey, but, we've been celebrating, raise 10 million, raise 20 million, you raised 30 million, well done. That's not celebrating at all. You celebrate either when you exit or when you have mass impact or when you've got, great revenue growth with great margins.
But then, in saying that, I know entrepreneurs in this country that have exited for like 100, 200 mil, and their company doesn't make any money.
Yeah, so it's
and I've seen inside some of these fucking companies, and their company doesn't make it makes fuck all. Like, it literally makes fuck all. It's literally funded by capital. They don't even they're losing money every month, and I don't understand how you can sell something like that for so much money on the multiple. But the only way I can see it being worth that is because the other brands are trying to buy the data. They're trying to buy
buy the market.
Market.
And there's that model is that part of it is like those guys can all see that there's opportunity there. And you've got to keep it going, and you've got to keep building the market. And there's a huge part of that. It's just interesting, different vehicles and ways to do it. And I just think that D2C model is amazing and opportunistic for people. But I think trying to be $100 million or be the $500 million Uber of whatever is not necessarily the only way to win. And in many cases, I don't think it is actually, because you see a lot of these companies, and I was listening to the owner of MVMT, so he's a $100 million company, and he's talking about, he's still trying to understand the concept of happiness. And it's like, and it's just like,
what do you consider the concept of happiness to be for you?
Still learning, definitely, but I think part of the goal is not to always just be in search of happiness, be in search of the human experience.
I've had this. And it was on a mushroom trip. I went on a mushroom journey the other day. Lino took me on another one. I always go on one every few months just to learn more about myself, to understand the shadows and where I'm struggling and all that stuff. I went on this mushroom trip. One of the pivotal moments was about happiness, and I realised happiness is bullshit. I think if you pursue purpose, what's most purposeful to you, by default you'll find from pursuing a purpose, you find you find that inner being, you know what I mean? You find that comfortability. You're going to have ups and downs within pursuing a purpose. Like me pursuing this podcast, there's ups and downs, but I'm pursuing something that's purposeful to me. You're pursuing mushrooms, a mushroom brand that's purposeful to you. So even though it's not all sunshine and rainbows, that pursuing that purpose puts you on a path, right? Whereas people pursue this big word, happiness, but the happiness doesn't mean anything. Because how do you define it? You can't define it. So if you pursue your actual true purpose, or whatever you believe that is to you, that's kind of the profound moment that I had. That's why I feel better in life now, because I'm pursuing something that's purposeful.
And for you, that's podcasting.
For me, yeah, and it's like some people will say, explain that to me, explain how this does that. You could do more revenue in contentremoval.com. I know I could right now, I know that, but I fucking love this. I can't help what I love. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's why you couldn't help that you were inquisitive about mushrooms when you started, but you pursued it, and it didn't. You were profitable, but you didn't realise at the time probably what you've done now, surely.
No, but I just think, it's that short term, that money grab type thing is what we're sold a lot, and then it comes at the cost of your time, and it comes at the cost of your passion. But for me, I just, the way to live has to be through passion and meaning. It's just so ingrained in me, into my truth. So, starting a label, selling shoes, selling clothes, to be honest, it's just meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless to me. Like, there's just nothing there unless that fabric is changing the way that we can exist, and it's doing something of those natures, and it's building community. It's like we're at a time in humanity where we're really on the edge of many things that could potentially go wrong, whether it's sustainability, whether it's around community, whether it's around our mental health. It's like, if I'm not doing something in that space in some way, I'm like, doesn't matter the dollars, just doesn't, because when I'm on my deathbed at 70, 80, 90, and it was one thing that, when I worked in the corporate world, the psychologist got me to do was to write this letter, to myself on my deathbed.
Yeah.
And write your life, and just like really look at it from that perspective of what do you regret and what are you grateful for. And so that really helped sink it in, but I was sort of already on that journey, which was so for me, mushrooms, again, are just a key tool and a key component of humanity going forward that's useful, because we have so much consumerism going on. We're pillaging the planet, we're pillaging the resources, and so we need to look at things deeply and go, okay, is that beneficial and good for the collective and for the individual? Because, again, going back to those fake meat burgers, it's like we were sold this hype, we were sold this story. Look at the ingredients, they're a disaster. 9 out of 10 of them are an absolute disaster, just a chemical bomb. And so it's the truth there, God was sort of deceived because of the marketing, because of the propaganda, because of the dollar, because of these companies getting raised up on the NASDAQ for $1 billion company, and it's good, and it's got a couple of influencers pushing it, so we should go for it. And we lost our way with that, and that's just all over the place with many things. We worked a lot in the fashion space because mushrooms can break down materials within the fast fashion, so we worked with a couple of brands, won't mention them, but the amount of waste, tonnage every year that's just in their warehouses going to landfill, so it's sort of like, those things for me are just like, okay, how do we actually, make a dent in a positive way? And it's just mushrooms are part of that. And so we do different things in packaging where we're replacing polystyrene with packaging. We work in animal agriculture where we replace, different antibiotics and different sort of, I guess, synthetic things that are given to the animals with mushroom extracts. So mushrooms for me is just like, for humanity to level up, they're essential.
It does change the way that you see certain things. I mean, even when you microdose mushrooms, like take 0.2 or something like that of a mushroom, like that sharpens you up. Like it just gives you some. It's great for. I imagine it's great for treating mental health and stuff like that, because it's a happiness thing, isn't it? It does create happiness.
I mean, to clarify, like that's not what we are invested in. We've done research with Australian universities with just normal compounds of mushrooms, and had great results. In Quebec, we did a study in bees for longevity. So we did longevity, so improving the lifespan of a bee through mushroom extracts for the animals. And in that space, especially in North America with Johns Hopkins University and different groups and MAPS, the non-for-profit, the results are phenomenal, and there's great encouragement of those signs. But I guess from where we sit on it, it's like that's coming. That's part of the evolution. It's not our space, the psychedelic space. We're more in the functional everyday mushrooms, and that will help you level up as well. That helps you level up through your sleep, how you're feeling, getting off of coffee, transitioning. These pieces are really important because there's no silver bullet for our health and our mental health, and I think it's just about chipping away at these pieces. And for us, functional mushrooms that are grown, in a high quality way, extracted in a high quality way, because again, going back to a lot of the powders, they're coming from Asia, and it's just that the potency is not there. And for us, that's like, just like if you're going to honor the mushrooms, grow them in a strong way, in a powerful way, and make sure when someone consumes them, if you read our reviews, I read them every day because I get them, and it's just obscene, the results, the benefits people are having.
When you were talking to me before about the biodiversity of the mushroom extract from, say, obviously because we were talking about a product before, we won't mention the product, but we're talking about a product that I love the branding of in the world, and they're in the mushroom space themselves, and you were saying that because their mushrooms are Chinese, obviously they've not got the biodiversity available. Why are all these brands using these Chinese mushrooms and stuff like that?
Yeah, and it's not just China. I think it's Asian countries or foreign countries, and some people are growing in the country, which is great. But there's always nuances, and you can't really share that across. But I guess the danger in social media, the danger in the e-com world, and the danger with these pieces you just got to be aware of is like, you know, everyone's trying to become a mushroom brand, everyone's trying to become a CBD brand, everyone's trying to become a supplement brand because, hey, I can buy that off Alibaba and I can repackage it and I can give it to some influencers and I can get it to pop. You know, and that model's worked very well within clothing and other pieces for some time. But again, it's from a business model point of view, it's not very defensible.
Yeah, because you can't build a moat around something.
You can't build a moat around it, so you can't build a real value. You know, investors will come and say, well, what makes you different to this guy? You know, actually nothing. Because we both get our mushrooms from same Alibaba.com, you know. So there's that element of it. From a valuation point as a company and defensibility, you know, biotechnology, no different to IT or, you know, information technology. Like Uber's valuable because of its algorithms and its tech. We're valuable because of our tech, you know, so that puts you in a different category. Secondly to that, it's just something that we know the customer resonates with. We grow our mushrooms in Australia. We grow our mushrooms in the US. Oh, I like that. You know, and then thirdly to that is like, you know, intuitively, how do you feel when you take them? You know? And so that's been the big one for us with Dave Asprey and being featured on Joe Rogan. And that's cut through. You know, that was just cut through because they genuinely liked the product. And so that gets you another sort of leverage point.
Yeah. Because I saw Joe use the product and people like Dave Asprey, obviously Bulletproof and all that stuff that he does. They're having people like that genuinely go and pick your product and get results from it and be able to like put it out there is insanely powerful.
Is that an Aura ring, that one?
Yeah, Aura ring, yeah.
Because that's really where it started with Dave. We sent him some product through a friend, and you know, he said my REM sleep was just, you know, off the charts, amazing. So REM sleep's that dream state. And so this was interesting because it wasn't in the literature about it. You know, there's no lion's mane for improving REM sleep, and that was really what took it for him, and that's really where we saw our success as well, because you just weren't getting that with the powders, you weren't getting that with the other products.
So walk me through these 5 mushrooms that we have here in terms of extracts and how they obviously work and impact the body.
Yeah, so we'll talk to some of the research and some of the reviews. Turkey tail, great study out of Harvard around being a prebiotic, but really, you know, just great, you know, for digestion with meals. So great to add to water, tea, coffee, add to your meal. You know, happy gut, happy life in simple terms. We know that's important. I won't go into too much of the science there. Reishi, just, you know, evening time, a PM mushroom, you know, it's known as the mushroom of immortality. And when I was in China visiting and seeing how everything works over there, it was sort of like on all sort of the temples, there was a lot of mushroom art, but in particular the reishi mushroom. So it's been revered there for hundreds of years for longevity, but really also just, you know, what the research suggests and points to is just very much, you know, a calming, a PM mushroom, great in the evening before bed is sort of the best time to have the reishi.
Yeah.
Lion's mane, you know, this is one for, as I sort of mentioned, Dave Asprey mentioned around the REM sleep, you know, and there's some interesting research around lion's mane as well, for behaviors on the brain and actions on the brain, but it's really, you know, great in the morning, replacement for coffee, get you into a flow state.
Replaces coffee.
With the cordyceps, a good combination swap, because, you know, I saw this study that NASA did on you know, they gave a spider caffeine, they gave a spider other illicit drugs, and they saw how the spider would behave. And when the spider consumed caffeine and then when it tried to make a web, the web was just all over the place. You know, it actually impaired the focus and the ability for it to be attentive to creating the web. And so the picture of the web was just messy.
I have a love-hate relationship. I have a love-hate relationship with caffeine.
Yeah, I can see that now, you know, in yourself. You can feel, you know, excited, energized, but are you like able to just to go bang? You know, not really in terms of, you know, that project or that focus or even that creative flow. It narrows you in a bit.
See, because I want something that's going to zone me in, but also give me that energy that I want to do. The only thing I've ever found that was phenomenally good back in the day was Jack 3D. Like Jack,
I'm trying to remember that.
Jack 3D is my all-time favorite. I never knew.
I think I remember like a grape flavor or something.
And it had DMMA in it. It was fully illegal. None of us knew, but it was just phenomenal stuff. And we used to take free scoots for sparring, all of us, and we used to knock lumps out of each other. Mm-hmm. And like there'd be lads in there that were not even like heavy punchers, that were just cleaning people out because of how potent this stuff was. Like, it was just mental stuff. But that used to send you into imagine this, right? You took this stuff and you just went, it's like the world went like this, and just sent you into this tunnel. It's like, that's it. So that's what.
But that was positive for that task.
Yeah.
And I guess caffeine, it's another tool. Just like these are tools, and it's like if you use it in the right way, hugely beneficial. You use caffeine before, I remember with the guys for sport, in the Premier League before a game, you got 30,000 people screaming out there, jacked up on caffeine, like, boom, you're on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then they're not sleeping until 4 a.m., or whatever, and so it can disrupt the sleep, and then it can drain the adrenals, and so it's a short-term win. Long-term, you got to really find your sweet spot with it.
Do you use caffeine yourself?
I use it. I drink cacao mostly. Cacao's got a bit of L-theanine in it and a bit of caffeine in it, and it's just a steady space. But for me, for energy, it's cordyceps lion's mane in the morning with some cacao, and then just not eating. Eating really slows you down.
And what about this one? This
is the beauty mushroom, the glow mushroom. Amazing from a male point of view. You really notice, the need to sort of shave more often from your beard, but hair thickening.
And what's it called?
Shiitake. Yeah. So pretty familiar with it. I think in the mainstream, it's the most grown mushroom on the planet. Is the shiitake, very popular. In the ramens and the Asian dishes, but you're not getting it in the bioavailability that you are in an extract. But the glow mushroom, it should be part of the beauty routine. It'll get that noggin really glowed up and shining for you.
Yeah, you reckon it's going to help my baldness?
Well, it helps thicken hair. Thicken hair,
mate. So that's got to be a bloody good extract to help me.
If there's any there, next time part 2, afro.
Can you imagine? It looked like I've been to Turkey for a transplant. Do you know what I mean?
But the women love it because it's really part of that glow, that glow for the skin, that complexion. A lot of the market we know about collagen, and it's a huge billion-dollar market. And actually, the fun fact is Dave Asprey kicked that market off. He was the first with a collagen product on the market out there, and then now everyone's got a collagen product, and it's a beneficial supplement to take. But the other one that's really good for skin health is elastin. Elastin is the firmness. So as we get older, as we're learning what aging is, you lose that firmness. You get, I guess, what in simple terms, that sagginess of the skin. It's not firm and strong, and so that's for photo aging. A lot to do with, I've got cousins in London living there in the central London, and they're 10 years older than me. They look probably 5 years younger than me, because they're not getting that photo aging. They're not getting that UV. And so that's where shiitake is really good for that, for slowing down the UV damage.
Really? That obviously I've got all these extracts myself. I just take them. I don't really know what they. Obviously I've read the literature, but it is interesting to see how you break that down and what they actually really do. Is there any others you do as well? There's more than that, isn't there?
There's one other, the chaga mushroom.
Yeah, I've got the 6 set. I have. Yeah,
the chaga is a powerhouse. We get that from Alaska, so it doesn't grow in Australia, it definitely doesn't grow in Australia because you need snow and you need birch trees. A birch tree is what it grows from, and so it's sort of like this big clump of wood on the side of a tree. If you walk past it, you would never know that that's a mushroom. It's just this big clump, and they sort of just axe it off. Sustainably harvested is important because it's wild harvested. So as these markets get bigger, you don't want it just to be completely pillaged. And so we get that from Alaska, from some wild harvesters there, sent to our site in the US there, and that's where it's extracted, and it's a really gold color. It's known as the king of mushrooms. We asked the science team, if you want to choose one mushroom, what would you choose? They do say the chaga mushroom, because it's very broad spectrum in terms of mineral content, selenium, calcium, zinc. These minerals are really important. Antioxidants, which, when we think of antioxidants, just the simplest thing is to think of anti-aging. It just slows the aging process down. Really important for that. The chaga is also a bit of the vanity mushroom. If you've got blue eyes, they really start to pop like laser beams. We've had some funny testimonials from people in the US about that.
Mate, it amazes me how something so natural can pull out so many components of a human where they need to allows them to dial in. So essentially, it's like for anyone who's entrepreneurial, really, like they should be taking mushroom extracts.
I mean, there's definitely going back to that entrepreneurial journey or professional journey when you're on the mission per se. It's no different to being an athlete. You need to nail your sleep. You need to nail your morning routine. You need to nail your evening routine. You need to manage your schedule and your ability to use time. And you need your physical vessel to be really solid and strong and clear. And when I say strong, I don't mean jacked. I mean just like resilient and able to deal with the stress that comes. The stress is just so profound. So it's a spiritual journey and a physical health journey and a mental health journey that's required, because it's a long journey. And I think you probably had other entrepreneurs or business people on here talk about that. It's a long, lonely journey in a way. It doesn't have to be lonely, but for some reason it does become that way.
I think because we were talking before the podcast as well, I think not everyone's bad in business, but there are a lot of people out there just trying to take you out all the time. Whether it's other brands trying to take you out, and obviously that's why you defend with patents and stuff like that, or whether it's just people trying to get in and out. Like there's a lot of that goes on. And sometimes you can find yourself as someone who's entrepreneurial, separating yourself from the pack because it's like at least at least if you've got 5 people around you, your group. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of entrepreneurs are at the top level of the game. They don't have many friends. They have lots of acquaintances, but not many friends. You know what I mean? They got their day one group. Is that something that you've got as well? Because you seem like a man that's kind of quiet. You just like your own space and your own time, and to hold your own kind of thing.
How do I think about it? I'm very collaborative, very open to collaboration, but I guess what we've learned on that journey is not everyone is evenly open to that as well in a way, but and that's just to embody the mushrooms. Mushrooms, just to give a very quick story in nature with mycelium. Mycelium is the roots of the mushrooms. And so the roots of the mushrooms, before the mushroom pops up, this is underground, and it actually within the system, within the environment, allows trees to talk to each other. It's like the internet of the underground is what many people have described it as, and it's exactly what it is. It allows communication, and it's very collaborative. And so embodying that as a company, we try to be collaborative and do cross promotions and marketing and co-branding or whatever it is with other brands and other individuals. But at the same time, business is ruthlessly competitive, and I love that. Because I was in the Premier League and I was in those elite environments and I was in Formula 1 and I was working with these athletes who are just beasts. Do not get in my fucking way, like that kind of mentality. So part of me enjoys that part of it, but we can do it in a conscious way.
Who are some of the top athletes at the moment that you have using the product?
At the moment, we've sort of, Owen Wright, pro surfer. We've worked with, it's sort of in and out depending on seasons and pieces. And what I mean by seasons is like where they're up to in their training. Are they in pre-competition? Are they in fight week? Are they in camp? Or are they just taking that block off after? Because we work with a lot of fighters, a lot of UFC fighters. We've worked with Usman in the past, Cody Garbrandt. I forget a couple of the other lads' names and a few females as well. So
can these turn up on the drug test though?
We haven't seen anything. We don't make recommendations on that. That's up to the medical team. Being a part of a medical team once upon a time, I know that's sort of how that rolls in terms of the athlete will go to the team doctor and the head physician or whoever's in the team. And but we've worked with pro surfers, pro UFC fighters, many other codes. And so, this is, it's a gentle nudge in the right direction. It's not like jacked, it's not like jacked where you're just like, whoa, which is obviously performance enhancing, but what comes up must come down in that sense. These are just gentle nudges. And again, going back to reviews, everyone reacts differently. And I just think when it comes to consuming anything in your body, it's about intuition. Like, how does that feel for me? For some people, they get these benefits. For some, they get this. But overall, in terms of upgrading your health, it's an essential item to add. If you're trying to biohack, if you're trying to upgrade, if you're doing, your saunas or your fasting and all these other pieces, mushrooms are, a key staple within that.
What other things would you add to your bio stack in terms of like what people should add into their daily lifestyle. Because I was reading a lot about this. There's a company called Do Not Age. They're a UK based company. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they do this. Is it NMD or something like that?
NMN?
Yes,
or there's NMN or there's NAD plus.
So
I've been using NMN actually, not from that brand, from another brand called Alive Biosciences in the US. And again, that's another brand that's like, you know, they're not a marketing company. They are deep in their science. And so maybe that's why not many people maybe have heard of them, but their product is phenomenal.
So yeah, talk to me about that, because I really want to understand that compound and how it works and what you've had.
Physiology of the NMN, I couldn't like speak to as a professional, but I know that, you know, NMN
just from you using it. I'm talking about.
I mean, and it came from a friend who is an elite athlete. You know, played for Australia in his code, and you know, late 30s, and he's just like, I'm feeling good. Because I was like, you're looking great, you know, and there's not too many things that do that. And of course it's never just that silver bullet. He's got his other things mapped out in his life that he's doing, but he said he's felt a noticeable difference with the NMN. So that's something that we don't sell that product, but it's essentially what's happening as you get older. You know, your body stops producing NMN, it stops producing NAD, that reaction stops, so you're depleting that, and so it's just topping it up.
When I was reading the research about it, it's essentially you have a certain amount of cell turnover when you as you age, and if you don't include this compound, this whatever you said,
NMN,
NMN. If you don't include that compound, you can't. The cells when they regenerate, they regenerate like a little bit of a faulty cell, and it becomes more of those, and
it's just aging. So going back to the Chaga, it's like slowing down the aging process is everything, really. And so, you know, longevity is the name of the game. It's not hit and quit, which is, I guess, what Jacked is, which is what a couple of these these pre-workouts, caffeine, coffee, you know, there's always a debate going on there. And I think one a day is good, two maybe okay, but if anything over that, you're probably stealing from tomorrow.
Do you? And that is a great statement, stealing from tomorrow, because I didn't realise until I read the history of caffeine that caffeine was brought in the 1900s to give to workers. They formulated this coffee break, tea break type thing so they could give this drug caffeine to workers in this drink, so they could get more performance out of the workforce. And I didn't realize we've all been sold this caffeine thing, and it's a complete, like,
it's the fuel of the matrix, 100%. 100%. It's the daytime fuel of the matrix. The alcohol's the nighttime fuel of the matrix. You know, it keeps you in this like system. It keeps you in the closed-minded system.
Yeah. See, when I have quit caffeine for say 100-day blocks a couple of times and felt so much better for it. But then I always driving past this. I see that Monster can staring at me, and it just it captures.
The Monster can's what gets you. That's interesting.
It's because even though that is like the devil's water, and I know that, I know that it is, right. It's literally, I know that, right. But the thing is, it just looks at me and it goes, "Frankie boy, you know, it tastes good, mate." Like, God,
I mean, and they've got the addiction part of it. I'm not sure what the sugar content of it is.
No, there's zero sugar.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got a food scientist, you know, to make our extracts good, because typically a lot of these mushroom extracts and extracts in general, you know, herbal extracts, very foul tasting. So that's been
yours don't taste bad at all.
No, exactly. So that's, you know, so learning from the big boys in town, the Monsters and the other big foods, like taste is if someone's putting something in their mouth, taste is important. Sometimes it's the first most important thing. You know, even ashwagandha and things like that. So just like, I'm a health nut, I'm into it, but I won't consume it. It's like, that's too foul. If I bought a bottle, I definitely wouldn't finish it, because just out of the taste. And so that's been another huge part, I guess, especially compared to the powders. The powders taste pretty horrid too.
Yeah, well, this is what, when I bought your product, I bought it off the website, and then when it turned up, I was shitting myself, because it says just put it in water, doesn't it? And I was putting all these droplets of all these 6 mushrooms. I didn't read it at the start, so I didn't know one was AM and some were PM, so I just put them all in one. And I just grabbed my nose and ready for expecting this thing to taste like shit, you know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, it's not too bad. It tastes quite kind of sweet. It's kind of, it's easy. It's like equivalent to drinking apple juice type thing. It's like it's just easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that was something you had to formulate because obviously you can't. To the natural extracts normally taste like shit.
Oh, they taste very bad. I mean, very bad. I mean, in saying that, the lion's mane, known as the lobster of the woods, I've got some in the fridge there that we grow. But if you cook that up, it tastes like a mixture between lobster and chicken. But there's not many growers of lion's mane, and that's not how you're going to get the full benefits of it. The full benefits are going to come from a potent extract that's bioavailable, which is in the liquid form. So, but in general, one, they're inedible, meaning you can't chew on them. They're very strong to break down. But secondly, when they're in other forms and not tasty, I think that's also part of why the movement was slower. Because herbal medicine or herbs in general can be foul tasting, and so that the purists didn't realize that to meet the everyday Frankie, they need to taste all right.
No, I get it, and it's a good insight for a lot of people out there that are making products. It's like, especially if you're making it in the health space, it's like if you're going to make the product, it's not, you can't just sell the benefit of what it will give the person. It has to be something that the person wants to take as well. And
no criticism to the US, but when we went over to the US, we tasted other mushroom extracts and mushroom products and just supplements in general, and even to an extent, the food it's a lower quality in the US, just across the board. It's just not. I'm sure there's some good high end stuff, but in the general everyday stuff, it's not great.
I've not been to the US yet, but my friends have sent me a few videos of the kind of food that's out there, and I can only imagine the GMO and all that kind of stuff that's in this food. They've
got two standards. They've got a super high standard that's amazing, and then they got a super low standard that it's terrible. And then the average is on the lower side. That was great for us to see, because we're like, in terms of other products out there, we're just like, that's on taste, not great. The other thing is convenience. So again, here's one here, but this is some of our different range. Instead of dropping it into the water, it's the mouth mist for a mouth freshener to feel fresh in the mouth, but to absorb it in the mouth for convenience. Just on the run in the gym bag. The reishi right beside the bedside table. Perfect. So there's those two.
You're building it into people's habits.
Habits meets convenience. Because I guess that's when you have this idea of how you want things to be, it's like humans are still humans. Convenience is why Amazon wins. Speed is why these things win. Taste with things like whatever it is in the Monster drink that's like calling you back. There's those elements you gotta win at, while still holding firm on your values and your mission as a company. So you can't be like, no, they're gonna consume the product the way that I want them to consume it. They're gonna, and that's the great part about product development that I really enjoy, is just getting out of our own heads, because we're not the decision makers. The customer is the decision maker. They are the boss, and so really working that relationship. You get so many insights in that space.
Yeah. Have you had, as you've gone on this journey and you've gone on the success journey, so to speak, and I know we were talking about this before, and you don't consider yourself in quotation marks successful, but how do you when you start turning over multi-millions and having a successful brand and getting on a, how do you manage your whole ego around that? Because there must be some form that develops in some way.
Yeah, and I think as a young guy, it can just naturally kick in as well. And so I think again, going back, there's just so much, we can think of our past 10 years and there's things in there that didn't mean anything, but there's the learnings from, again, the Premier League, going back to it, seeing the guys have it all, and maybe some of them on antidepressants, it's like, shit, and same in the Fortune 500 company, working as a health consultant, successful professional people, good income, on the outside looks good, unhappy and unmeaning, and that's the journey to stay on. And I guess that's been a forever journey, but also just having good friends and good mentors, and learning from them, because they went through those traps. It's very normal. I guess if you're in your 20s as a male and things are going your way and you're getting a bit of traction and you're getting on Joe Rogan, it's easy to hype yourself up, which is important to an extent because it builds belief. But you got to be like measured in that so you don't overhype things and then get complacent as well, which happens, And so you look at athletes like, the Kobe Bryants and the Roger Federers and the Novak Djokovic's who are just like, the external does not mean anything to them. Like they're in it for the craft. They're in it for their own journey so that when they look in the mirror at themselves, they know that they did it. That anything coming externally is like, thank you, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you for that compliment. And it means something for sure. And I'm very grateful, but it's like, doesn't fuck with the mood. Doesn't fuck with the emotion.
This is why I don't get too highly involved in the analytics too much, and even so much as like the ranking of the podcast at certain periods of time, up, down, sideways, whatever. Because I'm like, you know what, I actually love the reps, and I fell in love with doing the work and being involved in the conversations that I get to be in rather than everything else, and everything else just follows on from that.
And the mastery. So we're 7 years in, still super young. I'm super young in the business journey, like I know we get sold on Instagram. It's like, buy this ebook, get this coaching, 0 to X in 12 months, 3 months, 2 months, 2 years, whatever it is. I'm just like, I don't know. I just love the craft and the idea of like mastery over a long period of time. And so, 7 years in, still early days for Life Cykel, still very early days. The first time I heard of Airbnb, they were 13 years old. I was like, what the fuck? I just heard of them. They were 13 years old. These companies have been around for a long time. And so, 7 years in, we're early days still, and there's lots of growth and lots of opportunity, and it's just building that base foundation. And then beyond that, I'm sure we'll do other things and have multiple, cracks at it in different ways. So, it's just all enjoying that, I guess. Again, not getting too cliche and philosophical, but enjoying that journey is literally everything.
Well, we were talking about, because you see everything as a 10-year window, don't you?
Yeah, I'm looking at it in 10-year blocks. Like, because anything before that, I think it's hard. You're just not going to achieve mastery. You're going to be, thinking you know more than you do and selling more than you do. And that's fine also in an extent, but it's like true mastery is just 10 years. And again, looking back at the football players, 18, they've been at it since they were 8, non-stop. The Messis and these guys. And when we were there, Barcelona was the team, with the Messi and Iniesta and Xavi and all these guys, and like they'd been playing together as a team for like over a decade when they were at their height. They've been, and their brothers and they're good friends, and so I just found so much beauty in that they'd been on that journey for so long. And then now they've reached it. Now they're just absolutely dominating. And all the English clubs are like, how are they doing this? Why are they doing this?
Well, Man United did the same as well. Like they added. I mean, the key crux of the team that won the treble in '99 was like six or seven of the players on the first team and about five players on the bench were all from the same youth squad. Yeah. And then they added in the Dwight Yorks and the Andy Coles and the Terry Sheringham, and they added in those kind of players that they might need them all over the park. But Ryan Giggs came out of the youth team, so did David Beckham, so did Paul Scholes, so did Nicky Butt, so did everyone else. It's
so
mad,
I like looking at those patterns
and seeing
look at those patterns and learn and be inspired by them, and then also re-engineer the end point of like, who's at the end of their sort of stint and like really in a good place physically and mentally and spiritually, because sadly on that business journey you meet a lot of people and you see a lot of people who are just actually, they're lonely, unhappy, they don't have real relationships that are real.
Yeah.
They're just fake relationships. So, just trying to build those things, build friendships with the team and with, other guys that are on the business journey that are like there for each other in a genuine way. And so I think that's also maybe why it gets a bit lonely, because a lot of guys or a lot of women, a lot of business people in general will get burnt along the way because it's sharky waters. Those are sharky waters. One thing I watch on IG, I've got a couple of pages that are like just images of Africa, videos of Africa, just raw shots of the jungle and how life is in the jungle. That baby gazelle that just got pinned down, and that bear with those cubs that got, one of the cubs got taken away, or the mum got like, it's brutal. And it's not easy to watch. You don't enjoy watching it to an extent, but it's like that's reality in a way. And there's so many synergies between that and the business world of like just how sharky it can be. Now, I don't think it has to be that way, but I think it will be that way because it's competition.
I think you got to.
What do you think?
I think you got to. I think people have got to get real, and like it is that way. I mean, we're all competing for attention and
You're a
space.
boxer, you know competition.
Mate, 100%. It's like being around boxing and seeing top athletes at the top of the game and how they perform and being a trainer and everything else. I've seen it, mate. Like it's so competitive, and it's you have to have that. It's what I call the 0.1%. There's a big difference between being the top 1% and being the top 0.00001%. And the top 0.00001%, the Federers, the Floyd Mayweathers, they're cold killers, man. They're cold killers.
They're cold killers.
The Ben Francis, Ben Francis of the world. Ben Francis is.
I met him for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I know. I see your pictures together. Like he and Ben seems very like reserved, but in business he's a cold hard killer, man. Like in terms of like he's clinical. He has to be because he wouldn't be. He would not. You got to look at that man and think to yourself, that man has gone through has grown a whole brand, Gymshark, from been through the whole journey and retains like 77 or 87% of the business. Who does that? Only a cold hard killer retains 70% of a $1 billion brand. Yeah, simple as that. Yeah. So what you see on the outside and the true reality of how clinical these people can be on the inside, two different scenarios. And people got to be aware of it. Yeah. You have to be. Yeah. Businesses like that, you're going to get slapped about. Yeah,
and I guess attached to that is like it's never probably to an extent about the dollars. After a while, it's just his sort of. He loves what he does.
He loves his craft.
He loves the craft. He loves it. He's thinking about it all the time, and that's the same. So these patterns, and I guess that's never really. It's the unsexy story, because people don't want to hear that. The mainstream necessarily just like, no, I need to get out of this situation. No, the first step is just to go back to having a bit of stillness with yourself and going, what do I want to do with my time? I'm here for another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, what do I want to do with my time?
100%.
And that's what I'm most likely going to be successful at. Like, what am I thinking about when I've got free time? What am I, and that's the space to go into.
The most dangerous people in the space that you're in are the people that truly love the art, right? So you like the art of everything you're developing in mushrooms. I love the art of podcasting. I look at in my niche, I look at people podcasting. I'm like, fuck, you don't love it. So I'm going to smash you to pieces because you don't love it. You're doing it because you're trying to sell this off the back of it, or you're doing it because you're trying to create a network and this, that, and the other. And if you don't love it, then you'll get fucked 7 ways from Sunday.
And the other part is that people on the outside who are looking at you do it and in different scenarios. And for us, it's just like the amount of time put into it. Early on, it doesn't make any sense. If you're doing a time for dollar thing, it's like you're in the red in a huge way early doors. You know what I mean? So this, the everyday sort of mentality is like, oh, I'm not going to give up my Sunday. I'm not going to give up 3 days to do that when I could be making X dollars doing this. Yeah. But you're not giving up anything if you're doing what you love.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's a few calls that I could make, and I'll make them later. Yeah. But there's a few calls that I could be making right now that could earn me a vast more amount of money. But I enjoy coming out here. I enjoy meeting people like you. I enjoy helping people like you articulate your journey to add value to the audience. And when it is about that, and it genuinely is something you fucking love and it lights you up, that means way more than just the dollars in the initial period, and that carries you through. Because you're 7 years in, I'm 2.5 years into this, so I've got a long way to go. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But eventually these things have to pay off. If you truly love them, you'll find the way. Yeah. But you have to have that inherent love for something. It can't just be about take this, sell this for this, and make the money. Yeah. There can be a piece of that in part of your journey, but ultimately, because you through your journey before you started this brand, which is more purposeful to you, there were things that you probably did to make money to allow you to start that, which is fine. But what advice would you give to people that are especially these entrepreneurs out there. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, probably some that listen to this podcast.
How do you define an entrepreneur?
Well, no, let me set the scene for you. There'll be a few people that listen to this podcast, a good few people that have multiple businesses, and I think it's a bad idea until you're at a certain level. What's your opinion on it?
Proof's in the pudding. Is it a business that's making money and growing, and it's standing on its own legs, or is it in that idea phase? But if they've got multiple businesses going, and this one's making X and that one's making Y, and they're building, it's probably fine too. But if they're both like mid-tier and flatlining and not really doing anything, then you need to zero in.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, from your experience, wouldn't you, rather than having say a couple of them, they have businesses doing a couple of 100K each, or they have businesses that are doing like 3 million each, wouldn't it be better to go all in on the one that they believe can be the true killer?
Yes, for sure.
Because the key thing that I've learned from doing all these podcasts with all you guys that have done big things, it's the relentless focus on the one thing is what ultimately leads to the next level.
And before starting Life Cykel with Ryan and going down that journey with the team, it's like I was just a bit here and there doing a few things and getting nowhere. Just little tinkering things for like in ideation phase. But it's that focus for 7 years. Haven't thought of anything else. Even to the point of how we were living, even to the point of relationships with women, and just like not having distractions with girls, and in relationships, thinking the idea of our relationship is going to be distracting because if I want to need to work on a Sunday or want to do this and this, it's not fair on her, and so there was those sacrifices too. So the focus was, it was to a level of, I don't want to say killer, but like it's a level that most people think that's. You're crazy.
Have you ever done celibacy to push your brand further?
That's a whole topic in itself. That the power of celibacy and the power of semen retention for the male should be taught in schools.
Talk into it for me, because I wanna I went celibate. I was ranked number, I think it was like 92, and it pissed me off in the education category back in Australia back last year at the time. And I went 100 days celibate, got to number 5. Right? Yeah?
Normal.
Right? And I was like, wow, there's something in this.
Oh, you mean you got to day 5, you kept going?
No, then I got to 100 days. And I thought I've got to 100 days and thought, right, go on, one for the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I had to come out of retirement for a little bit, but then, but it just showed me that when you hang the gloves up as a man in that arena, and you stop chasing all these shiny objects, the sexual energy is creative energy, so it allows you to.
So powerful.
So talking from your experience of that and how and the semen retention, it interests me, and I know you'd be a guy that would know a lot about it. Yeah,
and it's an ongoing journey. Definitely not an area of mastery, but it's like. Yes, and it was like you probably felt an inkling there. And again, you've got to decondition and take away everything you thought you knew about sexuality and what it means to, orgasm for a male.
Right, go on.
Because it's a life force energy rich in minerals that energetically, as soon as you ejaculate, as a male that your energy dips. Yeah. And if you do within 24 hours, you're just like having a few sessions. The next day, you're definitely going to be depleted. If you're in your early 20s, it's less, and as you get older, it becomes more and more. And this goes back to traditional Chinese medicine. So it's very well documented, very well known. There's plenty of books on it, plenty of information. It's just coming to light now, and it's fascinating. But if you want to be in your true power as a man, 100%, before you're thinking about sauna or anything else, before you're thinking about NMN, start there. Point day one, keep your semen within you, retain that for as long as you can, and see your life literally change and your energy change from the force, the way that you show up to a meeting, the way that you show up, when you're out. It's just like, it's a different beast.
So how long do you go without obviously having sex before? I suppose you're not saying not have sex, are you saying have sex but don't come? Yeah,
so that's a whole area of art, which is fascinating, and I've been learning about and have a great partner, and because it's a
Don't they get that? Because when I did the whole celibacy thing, and then I have done the whole semen retention thing without blowing your load type thing. But then women get pissed off with you because you
So there's
a whole dynamic there that causes drama as well. If you get down
I'm not a sexologist or a sex coach, and I've been hanging out and learning from friends who are experts in that space and reading and learning, and it's just like, for sure, the conversation. Like, if you're a guy, you're going to go have a one night stand and you're thinking about this, like, she's going to be thinking that's weird. She's going to be, what are you talking about? Because for the last decade, that's never been the case.
But the day a man understands it's not about him is the day his sexual life changes anyway.
For sure, exactly.
Because it should never be about the man. It should always be about the woman. Like it's because that's the whole fucking game.
Semen retention will change your energy, how you show up during the day. It'll also change your sex life to a whole new level. Because there's just so many more levels you can have, and again, like, there's other orgasms you can have. This is going to sound peculiar and weird without ejaculating, as a male.
Go on. No, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I'm usually used to talking about mushrooms. So, but
I know, but this is why I love this stuff.
Yeah. So when it comes to this area, it's, the concept is, again, if you're ejaculating, you're losing energy. Just straight up facts, versus if you retain that, you're keeping that energy within you, you're keeping that life force within you. And then as a guy, you can get to a place when you're having sex where when you orgasm, you don't ejaculate. So you orgasm, but you don't ejaculate. You don't lose anything, but you still orgasm. And trust me, they are the best orgasms you're ever going to have in your life.
How long does it take you to be able to teach yourself to be able to orgasm as a man, but without ejaculation?
Not as long as you think. I'm not talking like years, I'm talking like a little bit of like understanding on breath, on psychology, on sexuality, on your own body. You're good. By end of Saturday, you'll know.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Right.
We've got a sexologist coming on Saturday.
Julian's invited me to his house on Saturday to what's.
I mean, it's just some lads coming together. I mean, it's a passion project of mine, which is just again, outside of Life Cykel, my 100% focus is that. And then outside, instead of probably going out and doing what I used to do 10 years ago, hit clubs, bars and stuff, it's like bring some lads together and have some conscious conversation, which includes my friend Taliesin, who's a 10 times world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's going to be doing a seminar. We're going to be
hopefully he's going to be coming on the podcast
we're going to be on the mat, so we should film that as part of the B-roll. You and me going head to head. So a bit of warrior archetype male, bringing that out because we need that. It's actually in our biology as a male. Like, it's been sort of pushed down for a long time. Like, you came from that. You grew up with that. It's going to reinvigorate you, and it reinvigorates every male when they can get physical and aggressive and competitive in a safe way. That's not going to knock anyone's head off. Secondly, we've got a sexologist coming, Lola, who's amazing, and she's going to be talking about all the stuff I just spoke about from a female point of view. And the reviews we've had from that, because when we think about personal growth as a male, we go to the gym. We do lots of gym work. We do some meditation. What are you investing in, time-wise or money-wise, on becoming a better lover? How many? Not much at all. And so when we host these events and have Lola speaking, it's just like the reviews from the women. We had one where a wife said to her partner, James, we've never had sex like that. We've been married 7 years. What did you do? What did you learn from that? Yeah. And it wasn't even like technical stuff. No. It was just macro things that just made a shift. And he's going to go back, have way better love life with his partner who's been married to. Like the ripple effect of that. Super fascinating. So, definitely not in the mushroom space, although in saying that, the mushrooms are great for well-being in that zone as well. We won't go into details, but beneficial. But, these are fascinating areas.
Are any of these mushrooms useful for helping a man keep his testosterone high? Because everything out in society... And the way society is structured at the moment, I feel is an attack on male testosterone and males in society, as in like even some of the stuff that they're putting on front of the magazines these days. Just if you read a book about any, like, if women read these erotic novels, and erotic novels are for women, right? 100%.
My mum used to read them. I was like, Mills and Boons.
Yeah.
Used to like reading them.
But if you look at any erotic novel, the men in erotic novels are all like manly men. But if you look at the men that women are shown in society, they're shown more. They're shown more and more femininity in men. And I just think there's a whole thing at play there where they're trying to dull down like that whole testosterone, that manly men type thing. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I was at a farm this morning, at a dairy farm, and just like men of that age, men of that older decades, it's just very different to now. And it's not a negative thing fully, but, you know, I think why the mental health thing is happening and why this has become an issue. And I think also why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is becoming so popular.
Yeah.
Because males are getting to get in contact, getting to have a go at each other. Like, it's primal, it's within us, it activates the male. So when, you know, because there's all this idea around, the males need to talk and open up, and, you know, but we've seen, like, you know, research and different other experts talk about how when a male really opens up and becomes vulnerable, actually his estrogen increases, his testosterone drops. So it's good to an extent for, you know, to have conscious conversation and open the heart as a male with other males or with their partner. But at the same time, what's equally important is like going out, chopping wood, lifting weights, running up the hill, doing some chin-ups, getting in a wrestle. Like that's really important for a male.
Yeah, because you need it's connected to, like, obviously how we've evolved as from I suppose from apes and all that kind of stuff. It's like that's very much like that archetype, isn't it? How we came through it.
And this is science, where science is like the religion, you know. And the study said this, and the science says this. What about, you know, what people have been doing for a long, long time, and what we know feels good? You know, like we've been bastardized against, like, sun causes cancer and sun's bad. Most people are vitamin D depleted or deficient, even in Australia. So, you know, getting morning sun is another thing. I'd put it right next to semen retention. Getting morning sun, you know, getting that sun on you to activate your hormones and how you feel, and getting your circadian rhythm in tune is another amazing tool. That's free.
I was reading a study about grounding and how important that is, because obviously we're all wearing these rubber
we're in
soles.
Byron Bay now, we're talking sun, we're talking grounding, you know, we're talking these things that, you know, because when you listen to a lot of these biohackers and podcasters, it's like supplements to purchase. There's 10 things we could all do that are free that would change your reality.
Go on, list them all.
Shit, 10. All right. Well, you kick in with a few. Grounding.
Right. Grounding.
Morning sun.
Meditation.
Semen retention. Meditation. Breath work. Cold shower. What else would I put in that list? Journaling.
Yep.
Ocean therapy, getting in that ocean, just something that does something for you.
It's the ions in there's ions in the seawater that change the way that you feel. 100%.
You come out, you're just like, fuck, I'm glad I did that. I feel amazing. We're up to 8.
Yeah.
What else would I go with? Fasting. 9. That's easy. Fasting is an easy one. These are all, I haven't spent a cent. You know, I haven't had to pay anything. I'm not relying on any brand, anything. And I'm here talking about how good mushrooms are, and they are a game changer. But, like, there's 9 things that if you're not doing those, start there. Number 10. Let's hit it out of the park. What do we got?
Well,
we haven't even put exercise.
Yeah, exercise.
You know, high intensity exercise. Just short, sharp. You don't need to go for a 3-hour run. Boxing's amazing for that. Plyometrics, running up hills, do 5 hill sprints. So nothing, 10 off the bat.
Nothing makes you, boxing makes you horny as fuck. Like in terms of like you when you throw hands or when you move your feet at the velocity that a boxer or someone who can box moves at. You'll just be a fucking animal.
It's so funny you say that, because my mates who are fighters, some of my mates who are fighters,
all animals.
They're animal. They need to be having sex so regularly.
Oh, mate, honestly, I had to go to a psychologist about sex addiction.
Celibacy was a big issue, big thing, big achievement.
Mate, I had sex addiction in 2000. Well, that they classed it as that in 2017. I had to go see a psychologist for 10 sessions because it was just ridiculous. But like, yeah, but it did when you learn. But then I learned to harness in terms of like how to use it as focus, and it was brilliant. It was actually really helpful to me. Yeah. But you when you throw hands, I presume jiu-jitsu is the same. Yeah. That's why I'm like nervous to get involved with jiu-jitsu. But I
so it's obviously bringing the testosterone up.
Yeah, that's that 100%. It's like not only that, it helps us. I have so much self-belief, bro. Like in terms of everything I do. Like I remember when I first reached out to you, and you're like, I don't do podcasts, bro. I only do American podcasts and stuff like that. Is basically what you said.
Wanker.
Yeah. No, you basically told me to fuck off, but in a nice way. Yeah. But I remember saying to you, but bro, you don't realise I'm going to be this. I'm going to do this and do this and do this and do this.
Which I love. Like when I see like our first videographer that we hired, he didn't even know how to use a camera. Like but the energy he came with, I'm like, that's the energy of a winner. Yeah, you know. So yeah, sorry, going back to what you said.
So no, you're right. So I was just, I think I was telling you everything I was going to do, like in terms of how I was going to launch it and how I was doing this and this and this, and I was going to deliver this and this, and it's like, some things have been delivered, and I'm on path to deliver other things, and it's like that comes from self-belief. You get that deep knowing from doing things like being involved with boxing, being involved with jiu-jitsu, just backing your fucking self basically, and just believe, just having that belief. Because I explain this a lot on the podcast, and I keep reiterating it. Confidence and self-belief are totally different. Confidence is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in my life, because confidence is fully external, and it's like a sheet of glass in front of you. It can be smashed through. Yeah. You throw something at it or throw a punch at it, you smash confidence. But self-belief, that's ingrained. And you should always work on whatever you can do to ingrain more and more self-belief in yourself. And you have to know how to detach ego at certain points, because you can get a little bit egotistical with it. But that self-belief, you can't go wrong with that. Yeah. It's inherent.
And I think when you say that, like, because, that spiritual journey or that growth journey with business, they're both one and the same, but like you tap back into, like when I was a teenager, like I just was obsessed with sport, particularly football and cricket, and I had some good success and that built the self-belief for the business. Yeah. So you think back to, maybe a 25-year-old male who doesn't have much self-belief, you look back to his teenage days, he didn't have too many wins. Yeah. He wasn't doing well at sport, whatever. And so that's impacted him now at 25, 35, 45. And so it's like, okay, if he can at first identify that and be self-aware to go, I'm missing that self-belief that you're talking about. Frankie's talking about, I don't have it. That's right. You can go and get it, put yourself in a good environment, become good at something. And then you can stand on your feet, and if you're at a dinner conversation, you've got something that you own. But if you don't own something, you're not good at something, you don't have self-belief in an area, whether it's painting, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, pottery, whatever the fuck, like, you're not going to have that self-belief.
100%. And I want to say something to every man that listens to this podcast, right? And I'll look you straight in the eye in whatever camera Isaac's got me on right now. I'm telling you now, every man that listens to this podcast should start either jiu-jitsu or boxing, because your missus or future wife will thank you for every round for it. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll have more stamina, you'll have more self-belief, you'll be in better shape, and it just helps everybody out. Do you know what I mean? So it helps you out.
Icing on the cake, semen retention.
Yeah,
you're a different type of beast.
Yeah,
you're a different type of beast.
I'm celibate at the moment.
Yeah.
So but I'm interested to learn at the weekend this whole, from the sexologist, this whole dynamic of like, of this orgasm but without ejaculation. Like this, I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I'm still learning for sure. But it's like, I know that's the journey. Like, just as important again as doing those other 10 things. For a male, that's top of the list. Like, porn is the bottom of the list. And one night stands and just like leaking energy, like, while it's, it can be an enjoyable, and it's this cultural thing, but it's like,
it's bad for women. It's bad for women too.
It's bad for everyone. It's bad for everyone.
So
it's bad. This is a whole nother topic.
So no, talk into this, because it's interesting to me that because I never realized I got dragged into from the boxing and having this high test and all this kind of stuff. I got dragged into the one night stands and all the bullshit, and obviously watching Pornhub in the past and all that crap that goes on with that.
It's an epidemic,
and I think it's an epidemic that one, not a lot of people, especially type podcasts like this, are not talking into. How did you identify that was a societal problem?
Identify as a societal problem. Well, I guess I noticed it first in me.
Yeah,
because we're all like, in this weird way in society when we have this inherent protection of self to look after self, and hey, what's in it for me? And so if we go, well, what's in it for me with semen retention? It's like, okay, more energy for work, better, stronger, better at the gym, better, in my love life, all of those things. It's like, well, I'm going to try that out, and then it's like realizing, and being, in that competitive state, with the Premier League and stuff. It's like, what are all these things that are going to make the 1%, 2% difference? But that's one it's a big chunk, and it's like you look around and you go, a lot of men are just, it's something I'm very passionate about. They're just not living to their full potential. They're not, they're not full. They're just like moping through life, unhappy, and it's like, hey, brother, that's not necessarily your fault. One, you don't have the knowledge and the power and the support network because your mates aren't that good. In Australia, it's not great either. We're not, to our best mates, we're not great supporters of them. We don't. If a mate starts a business, we don't have his back. We're not like buying that product. We're not shouting to other people. We've got this tall poppy issue. Exists probably in England as well. US is a little bit different, but it's like, how do we come together to build that up? And then going back to how do you identify the problem, it's like one of the things that is the problem is that we don't even have that knowledge. The knowledge that actually this is a thing. Semen retention is like, so if you're a 30-year-old listening to this now, you're going to say, fuck, how come I didn't know that 10 years ago? That is madness. Now, once you get onto that path, you can't go back from that path.
Yeah, I literally want to create 10,000 semen retainers off the back of this podcast.
And it means also, like, just to clarify the definition of it, it means, okay, the starting point is like, okay, well, should I have sex every day or whatever? It's like, or every couple of days, it's like, or, masturbating every couple of days. It's like, no, you're not like allowing yourself to ejaculate. First goal, 7 days, 5 days, get to 15 days, 20 days, and just watch your energy and your spirit just. So when it will get to a point where it's like, okay, I do need to. Because I'm a bit like, whoa, I'm like a fucking bull.
Yes.
In a little pen, in the sense of like. So that's the truth of being a male as well.
So I'll tell you a little bit more about my journey with it, right? It gets fucking hilarious. So I thought to myself, I'll have a bit of time off. So you do your 30 days, and the first 30 days are quite difficult. Would you agree?
For sure, yeah.
I think they're the most difficult, and then you're like, fucking hell, I feel fucking great. Boom, 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 boom. Then between 80 and 100. I was like, when I got to 100 days, I was glad I got to 100 days because I wanted to rip someone's face off. Like, because that last 20 days was fucking like, I was like, don't get me wrong, I was training hard, my workouts were good, everything was good, but it's just, now you kind of need it. But I reckon it's good for a man to abstain because that teaches you your own self-worth too from that part as well.
And discipline.
Yeah, discipline.
It's discipline. It's like, it's easy to go and just, release. That's the easy part. It's the easiest thing you can do in the world as a male.
Because
the general guideline, just as a very general framework, if anyone's listening at home going, I'm going to give this a go, it's like, if you're in your 20s, once every 7 days. If you're in your 30s, once every 2 weeks, and so on. That's
in terms of have sex once every...
Ejaculate.
Ejaculate,
as a baseline. But again, I think like what you were talking about, like you can probably get to a more that's just a general framework as a starting point.
Yeah. But you can get to a more high performance level by taking that break, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you took the break, say you've done 100 days, how
I haven't done 100 days.
You've never done 100 days? What's the most you've done?
I mean, if I look at periods of my life, I'd probably... I might have actually got to that close to that, but no, I'd probably say because masturbating and porn and those things were never a big thing for me. Like porn was never. I was just never into it. So I'm grateful for that.
Obviously, porn was big because mobile phones came. I know
it is.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, when I was young, I got my first. Sounds weird. I got my first mobile phone like at 11 or 12 years old. They're getting them at 3 years old now, which is even worse. But like porn became a thing on your phone when the first iPhone came out, and I was what was that, when I was back end of like 15, 16 or whatever. That's when porn started to become a thing that you'd see at school, like in terms of like not magazines. I'm just talking about actually on the phone. And like it's like the girls were just as big on it as the men. Like it's mental. It's mental how we were indoctrinated into that culture straight away.
And so the culture of intimacy is like, you know, it's just like completely upside down.
It's ruined relationships.
Yeah. You're just not having the intimacy you could be having in the bedroom, which is like you could be having 10 times the pleasure, 10 times the connection and the intimacy. And it's like, it doesn't compare. It's like eating, you know, a shitty cheap chocolate versus like this delicious, like higher end, delicious chocolate that's been, you know, artisan made. It's like that. It's like two different types of dishes. You're having your $10, you know, spag bowl type dish, or you're having a beautiful, you know, Nobu meal.
Do you know the biggest bullshit on humanity I see at the moment is that people are taught that empowerment is open relationships.
We're getting into some spots now, like open relationships. Like, yeah, this, where do you want to start with that?
Well, I just
say that again.
I believe that there's a massive movement to disempowerment, and the way that they're doing it is they're making you think that this open relationship thing is an empowering thing when it actually really and truthfully disempowers you both.
Bringing it back to like just what brings you to your power, you know, individually and together. You know, for the male, it's containing that life force. You contain that life force, you're going to be in your clear, powerful place. For a female, you know, and I'm not a female, I don't want to speak too much on that, but just like from what I understand and what Lola's mentioned and others in that space, and, you know, other previous girlfriends and lovers, and my current girlfriend, it's like, you know, the energetics that a female feels from a male is a lot, you know. So if they're sleeping with a lot of guys, they feel a lot of energy. They're so sensitive. They feel a lot of it.
So there's a transference there.
And that sticks with you. It doesn't go. It's not like, oh, we slept together, off you go. That sticks. Yeah. You know, and so if there's a lot of sticking going on, or sticking that's not a pure energy, that's not, I don't know, I'm not, from a health point of view, I'm not sure it's great.
I just see a lot of women in the marketplace that are beautiful women that I just want them to value themselves for how they should truly value themselves, like in essence, and just see that they're not meant to be going out there doing all that, because it's no good for you.
I mean, I think just like, you know, males need to do a lot of work on themselves. You know, there's a lot, and that's so I guess, and that's all I can speak on in terms of like, I'm a male. And I'm learning that journey, like, because
by us doing the work and taking the responsibility from our side, we empower that transition on their side as well. Exactly. I fully understand that, and there's no jibes at females. I just for sure. I just value I see it from a different perspective now that I'm not in my 20s where I went through my whole fuckboy stage, you know what I mean? I'm not in that game anymore, so it's like I see it as a totally different perspective now on how we should all value. And I just think that, especially in the podcast game, there's a lot of podcasts out there that I feel disempower a mass amount of both males and females from both sides of the spectrum.
How so?
Just from the way that they contextualize that, there's a lot of these like what are terms like fuckboy podcasts where they teach men that going out and doing all that stuff is the way forward. Wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Spreading that energy thin, and that doesn't help men attain much in their physical life, in their mental life, in their love life. Do you know what I mean? Because that's in the pursuit. And then there's a I'm not going to mention the name of the podcast, but there's a real toxic one for females, which basically they don't even realize it's happening, but they're building a wall between. This podcast builds a wall between women and men, makes the women build a wall between them and men, which actually disempowers them having a proper relationship with a man. And it's just a constant cycle of conditioning. And there's these podcasts out there on both spectrums that kind of like, and I'm trying to build something here that actually breaks fucking away from that shit. I hate it.
I think really we shouldn't be telling anyone how to live their life at all. Everyone should live a free life. Yeah. And everyone should speak how they want to speak. as long as they're not trying to do any harm intentionally to anyone. And on this spectrum of like, you know, previous relationships were like, you know, get married at 20, have kids at 21, you know, 50, 100 years ago, whatever, and that was what you do, and you don't have any option outside of that. And then at the other end, we're talking about open relationships and whatever, and it's like, this is spectrum, and it's like, just understand who you are, what your intuition is, and what feels right for you.
What feels good, yeah.
And don't get hoodwinked by some marketing that, oh, this is what I should go with. Like, maybe you do have a go at one of those along this spectrum, and just think deeply, am I happy? Is this fulfilling? Again, go back to happiness. This is a feeling. It's going to come and go. If you're in a polyamorous relationship, if you're in a monogamous relationship for 50 years, you're going to have shitty moments, but you're going to get through it. So don't attach to the feeling in the moment, but attach to like, is this fulfilling me? Is this meaning? Is this feel truthful to me? And make all your decisions on that. Make what food I put in my mouth, what I'm watching in the media, what podcast I'm listening to, like, because we can get like bamboozled, I think, by marketing and by all this spin, and it's like we need to empower ourselves to make the decisions and trust. And from self-belief, the guys that have that self-belief, the women that have the self-belief, they're able to just like go, no, that's bullshit. That's not for me.
You're able to discern what is your own truth, essentially.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful thing, to be able to have that choice to go, do you know what? I don't believe that. And from someone who removes content from the internet at scale, I can tell you that
the podcast on that's going to be amazing.
Well,
you know, the podcast that like how you see the world from that lens.
Yeah.
In this world,
I've not had the right people invite me to do a podcast to be able to share my journey and my story and everything. But when that happens, that will happen.
I think
naturally.
Jordan Peterson might be interested in that. I don't know if he's got a podcast, but someone like Jordan Peterson on that topic would be interesting.
I've met Jordan Peterson, except at the time I didn't even have a podcast, but I would love to sit down with Jordan Peterson, not only on this podcast, but
or
also
his daughter, Michaela. I think it's Michaela Peterson. She's got one. But
when you understand the world from the way that I've seen the world and how things are made to look to get you to think a certain way, and the way that social media algorithms show you guys something to back up your biases that you've already been instilled with from your parents. And let me just tell you straight, when my parents taught me things, I had to question all my beliefs when I grew up from being a child, and question everything that my mum and dad taught me, because essentially I was their second child. They were just still learning to be parents themselves, and they've taught me what they believed. Well, maybe what they believed wasn't even fucking true. Maybe that was a false belief. Maybe there's some limitations there, and there was, and there is in all of it. It doesn't matter who you are listening to this, even your childhood. There would have been things that your mum and dad taught you that perhaps you've had to go and do the bullshit filter on because you've had to learn a different way, right? And it's just, we've got to be really careful about what we tell ourselves is cast iron truth, and kind of what we sell ourselves, because if we don't remove those, if we don't question everything that we've been taught, we can't objectively see the world and this is especially powerful when it comes to business, like when you're doing business like yourself, or when you're trying to build something meaningful. You need to be able to see objectively, like, and discern what is your own truth and make your own mind up. But I would go back and break every pattern that you've been taught and kind of see it for what it is. Like, understand that they weren't trying to send you off on a merry dance on the wrong path, but they just didn't have the right information. They
were coming from their perspective, and like trauma is a word that comes into it too, in a way of just like it gets carried on. Like your parents just did the best they could in a situation, but from where they grew up as a kid, and so they're carrying this backpack of things that have they've seen as a child that have been impregnated into their brain, forced into their brain, and so that's how they see the world.
I guarantee you, if you're out there right now and you're listening to this and you feel any lack in your life in any area, whether it be money, whether it be fitness, look at the parents. Your parents have taught you that. Your parents have taught you that money's abundant. You know what I mean? My parents didn't teach me money was abundant. I was very middle class, right? And I was taught that, you had to go and work hard and do this. No, that's not the truth. You don't have to work hard. It's not about just working hard. It's about how can I create enough value in the world to be able to, if I create this value over here, I can extract this value over here. It's like, you know what I mean? It's a totally different fucking mindset from middle class mindset. Yeah. But unless I'd questioned that, unless I'd had the right, asked the right questions to the right people to allow myself to question every narrative that I've been taught, I ain't breaking out of that mold? How do you go from earning 25 grand a year as a carpenter in England to moving countries and setting up your own business and being online and turning over online revenue and all this shit? How do you do that unless you question every narrative you've been taught? You can't.
Yeah.
So that I'll just encourage any of you that are listening to this right now that's got this far, just to really question every narrative that you've been taught. Question all the casual stuff that you've been taught, and ask yourselves if it actually truly fulfills what your true meaning is and what you're here for.
And then just and who you're spending that time with is so important to that one. If I was sort of hanging out, with old schoolmates still right now, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am now in the sense of what my goals are compared to how they wanted to live. You know what I mean? And so I guess just pin against remember when I was living in England, I had a wall with the people I wanted to meet, in England, like
a vision board type.
Yeah, vision board with head of medical at Chelsea, head of medical at Liverpool, head of medical of the Formula One, Adam, looking after I had them all and I met them all, but and that helped change my environment because of how I was spending my time with. And so going back to that, if you're middle class, hanging out with middle class, you're going to end up middle class, and that's not good or bad. That's just the reality of what's going to happen.
Yeah, you 100% are what you surround yourself with, and there's no doubt in my mind that as I've surrounded myself with the more high operating entrepreneurs and the way I'm learning through developing and the way I believe I'm helping distill information, the right information about this kind of stuff. Not just a typical business podcast that just asks you how did you start, what was your journey, and then just goes into no depth. Because how many podcasts would ask about semen retention? They wouldn't, would they? But I'm trying to distill all this information into their ears because there's so much more.
Especially on a business chat, talking with a founder of a business or whatever, a co-founder of a business, and it's and similarly for me, when I'm listening to some business podcasts, I'm just I made 33 million, or I made 40 million, or I did this, and I'm like there's more to it than that. That's not the game. That's not the game. That's the base level, brother.
Yeah,
if this is one insane little ride that we're on. It's do something that's just actually puts a dent on the planet in a positive way. If you can do that, for me, that's the top tier. And I used to think reading Elon Musk and reading these books, Elon's the dude doing that. But I'm going to Mars and yeah, that's cool and interesting. But shit, we're still cutting down the Amazon. We're still so low on our vibration as a human, as males and females. It's just I'm fascinated by how far can we take it,
That's another key as well. The key is to find the not the quick wins, but the wins that allow you to raise your vibration, your energy vibration. How you because your vibe will attract your tribe, so to say. It's the truth. It's truth. As you increase your energy, you attract different people into your life. You attract better people. You attract better opportunities. And I just think that it's a game changer. I just want to
how do we tie that all together?
Well, first thing I want to say to all of you listening, I hope you got some mad value out of this podcast and understand my passion and the reason I dive into these topics on business podcasts and stuff like that is because there's so much more to it than just going from 0 to 100 million. Some podcasts, it might need to be about that, it might not, but this one I wanted to go into these realms because I believe you've added so much value to people by your insights into these things because of the way you've experienced entrepreneurship yourself. So I just want to say thank you for that. But if you were going to drop, if you had to check out the planet tomorrow, you leave Jurassic Park and you had to leave just a few pearls of wisdom on the people that a few key statements that you believe would empower the people listening right now to take themselves to the next fucking level in their life, their spiritual health and everything else, what would it be?
I'm a lover of humanity, and diversity of humanity, people being artists, people doing this, anyone who's following their dream, I can resonate with straight away. I'm just I'm in awe of you. I respect you because you're going on that journey, and I'm sure you're going against naysayers, and you're going against your own head that's going, you can't do that. So that's one of the wishes for me. It's just that everyone just goes on their journey, and everyone's journey is so different, and that's what makes it so beautiful. That diversity, I think, for me is just super exciting for humanity, just like it is in nature, just different plants, different animals. What abundance, just such abundance, and so abundance of consciousness with humanity. And I just think, we're all pretty not all, but just like there's a bit too much copycatting. There's not enough individualism, and there's not enough just that. I think comes from really being self-aware of who you are and what you want, and cutting out all the nonsense. So it's like, without being cliche again, it's like not follow your dreams, but it's like listen to who you are, connect to you, and walk that path. And just walk that path consistently, trust in that path, and the rest will happen with you, for you, and it will be an amazing party. The life it'll be a fun time while, doing something meaningful. And I think that's important, because I always never understood sort of like when a young lad with football teams and soccer teams, and you have these older people helping out, not getting paid or doing their roles, and they just got so much meaning and happiness, and they weren't getting paid for it, but they were contributing. It was what they loved. They were connecting to other humans, and they were just doing what they felt called to do. And so that's a small example of it, but it's like, walking your path and identifying your path and understanding that you're an individual. That's, I think, where we need to get to really like open it up. Like just, we're in this system of just, very cookie cutter system.
Yeah, and you can't, and that whole system is not going to give you the fulfillment if it's just cookie cutter. If it's just like, that's why you were saying before about these ebooks and courses where it's like 3 steps to this, 5 steps to this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like if you're following the same design as 1,000 other people, do you really think that you're going to get what's going to really truly fulfill you? And the only way that you find the fulfillment that you've said that they need to find is like when you quieten the mind, when you quieten the body, like in a meditation or a walk on your own without headphones in wildlife, or all that kind of stuff in nature. That's when you allow yourself to listen to those internal whispers that tell you everything you need to know about yourself, because you always know in your gut, and your gut will tell you everything you need to know about yourself, but you've got to be willing to listen. You've got to go to a place where you can listen. And going out on a walk for your 10,000 steps and putting your earphones in doesn't allow you to listen, because you're listening to someone else.
Yeah, and then also, just what other things are you listening to? You're listening to your mum. That's, I'm very grateful. My mum was like, my parents, but my mum was just like, allowing me to be so free. I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, that's probably the biggest struggle for a parent, is like just letting your kid be them, and not like, oh, he's a mini Frankie. He's going to be a podcaster. He's going to be a mini podcaster, or he's going to take over the family business, or he's going to be a footballer. Like that's a challenge, because you probably got this vision of what you want for your children, but it's like letting them free and just having unconditional support for them. That's the biggest gift that I had, for sure, which, going back to that self-belief, helped with that self-belief. Like early success with sport in school, builds confidence, but also just the confidence that come from my parents was immense. It's
just about having that curiosity, and to finish, I just want to say this as well. It's like when I went back to England, I got a little nephew called Rocco, right? And when my sister named him Rocco, I'd already decided in my head that he was going to go to the boxing gym and do boxing and all that stuff. And that's similar to what you've just said there. It's like when I was back in England, I asked him, because obviously he can talk now and all that stuff. I said, "Do you want to come to the boxing gym with me?" He says, "No, I don't. I want to play football." I'm like, and I thought about it, and initially I was pissed off, and I was like, "Fuck, I want you to do boxing." And it's like, but then I have to understand that he is his own man. And that was a very beautiful realization for me. The fact of like this 3-year-old now is his own man, and you got to so I kicked a football around with him because that's what he wanted to do, and that's if I had forced Rocco to come to the boxing gym with me, that would be doing everything that I'm telling everyone else not to fucking do. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't allow the kid to be curious. He'll find, if he finds a boxing gym at 5 years old or 6 years old, or wants to do it at 8, he'll find it himself.
Yeah, he might call you at 11 and say, "Oh,
yeah, I'm ready.
Me."
I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready to get on the pads." Like, let people find their own way. Just allow that curiosity to come out, and that goes for all of you listening. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. And if you got to this point, if you can do me a solid favour, send me and Julian a message. Hope we've dropped a lot of value in your ears. Like and subscribe on all the channels. Share it on social media for me. I really appreciate all of you taking your time to listen to this, and I really appreciate your time and having me in your home, my man.
Great to have you here, and didn't know where it was going to go, but it went in a beautiful way, and hopefully there's some value for people.
there'll be a lot of value in this, a lot of value, especially, and the women should love it too, because I'm telling you now, right, semen retention is going to change your fucking life and your sex life. So thank Julian for that.
Saved a few marriages, relationships, and made a few people more happier, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, definitely.
Definitely.
Much love, guys.
Much love.
Guys, do me a solid favour. Drop a comment below this video and let us know who you want on the podcast next.
Don't forget to subscribe to the